Yo, so ever since Wuthering Waves 2.0 launched, everyone's been talking about it, and for a good reason. They leveled up everything.
Would you like to dine there?
2.0 seemingly had it all. It really feels like the developers actually played their own game. That's crazy. I can't believe it. With even adding echo loadouts before we really need them. Flying feels amazing. And no, you don't have to pay for it in this game. That being on top of the constant quality of life features, for me it took the game from I guess I'll play this to okay, I could play this. And for a gacha game, that's pretty good. But there's an issue. Is it the new weekly chore that I personally don't like?
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
Or that flying is restricted? Or forecast echo refarming, which is just mind-numbing? No elusive realm, why is it not permanent? The answer is no, it's none of them. As long as the developers actually do their job, instead of how certain someone does it. But it's something no one seems to be talking about, and those are the banners. More specifically, the issue started ever since they added double banners. Now let me explain. Starting off with 2.0 Phase 1, having Carlotta and her best in slot support Jeji in the same patch, and on Phase 1. Now, I don't think I need to explain why this is bad. Just having two synergistic characters in one patch is already bad enough. But putting them both on Phase 1 of your first major patch, when the most amount of players are going to play, it's pretty obvious what they're doing here. Moving on to Phase 2, we have Rochia, who has a whole playstyle locked behind her C6, meaning you need to get 6 more copies of her. That's around $8,000 altogether, and her weapon complements that playstyle. Now, what about 2.1? Well, on Phase 1 we have Phoebe. How can that be bad? She's the most free-to-play, beginner-friendly DPS. She even has movement quality of life built into her kit. Oh right, you can't fly in 1.x zones. I guess I'll pull Phoebe. Oh wait, I ran out of all my free currency in the previous patch.
What am I gonna do?
So yeah, restricting flying, the very next patch will release a character that conveniently makes exploring those zones better. Yeah, I really wonder why they did that. But what about Phase 2? As of editing this, Brandt is about to release, so make sure to keep that in mind. It's Brandt and Chang-Li. Oh boy, has the community been up in arms about Brandt. But not necessarily for the reasons I am. Firstly, Brandt and Chang-Li in the same phase. Again, two synergistic characters. This time, however, on Phase 2. So it's a bit better, but this just shouldn't be in the game. We should push back against this. And now about Brandt himself, well, he seems to be harder to build optimally than a regular DPS, as well as his kit and strangely his echo set that requires a specific weapon. That's a first for me. I would have never expected a day would come where echo set effects are logged behind having specific weapons. As one bald man once said, put the fire set on the fire guy. Now, the reality is that he will probably work just fine on the regular fire set and the standard banner 5-star sword, but this just opens the floodgates for them to make more niche characters and make them harder to build. So then, in the future, they could sell you something that could improve your odds of building that character optimally. And especially with all the recent Hoyoverse fiasco that's been going on, it makes it that much easier for them to make the banner more predatory and to build the game around that. Especially as there really isn't much competition in the market right now for an open world gacha game. Now, if it's not a big deal for you at the moment, what if I told you the entire Wuthering Waves community is getting hoodwinked without even realizing it? And this only shows for what's to come. Let's zoom out for a moment and take a closer look. Have you noticed anything out of the ordinary for the banner schedule? The first double banner, Yinglin and Zhang Liao, follow the same principle of two synergistic characters in the same phase. Now, why is that in 2.0, Carlotta and Jeji are in Phase 1, whilst the other ones are in Phase 2? Is it possible that Kuro Games quick swapped banners last minute? Now let me show you how the original banner schedule looked and walk you through the absolute genius of the Kuro Games monetization guy. So now let's look at how Kuro Games played their hand perfectly. They set up 2.0 with Yinlin and Zhang Liao's banner. Now originally 2.0 Phase 1 was supposed to be Phoebe, and Phase 2 was supposed to be Carlotta and Jeji. And now let's think what would have happened if that was the case. It makes perfect sense that Phoebe would be on Phase 1 of 2.0, since she's made for beginners and free-to-plays, having movement built into her kit. But you see, that's where the problem is. They decided to restrict flying. If they were to instantly sell you the solution to improve movement in zones where you couldn't fly, they would have got major backlash. So what they decided to do instead was to delay, to not make it so obvious as to what their intentions were. They decided to replace her with Rochia. And since they didn't want Rochia to be in Phase 1 of 2.0 because she just wasn't that exciting, no one really cared that much about her, they swapped Rochia and Carlotta's and Jeji's banners, intentionally or not, double dipping. Now they were adding more FOMO to Phase 1 and avoided a PR hit from Phoebe as well as Rochia. Now you see, if Rochia were to release in 2.1 Phase 1 like she was planned to, the C6 having the main DPS kit logged behind it would have also sparked a controversy. And now really think about it, it would have made perfect sense if Rochia was with Brand in 2.1 because they're part of Troop of Fools. Not to mention that Phoebe isn't even that good in the new endgame, whilst Rochia is really good in that endgame. Again, confirming that Rochia was supposed to be in 2.1. Now, I'm not saying anything specific with this, but someone at Kuro Games is sure as hell getting a pay raise because of this. And Hoyoverse could learn a thing or two from this guy on how to monetize the game. Now again, the reason I'm making this video is because I do see potential in Wuthering Waves. It might not exactly be what I want it to be, but it seems like they strive to continuously improve their game. And I'm not so much concerned for the current state of the game, but the future potential state if the community sweeps this under the rug, because they are sure as hell going to keep doing this. The main objective is to set a precedent in ways in which they sell characters, and unfortunately this heavily resembles what Hoyoverse is doing, and I'm concerned that they will keep boiling the frog and it will only get worse from here. It might not impact many players now, but later down the line, I think we all know how the tale ends. If you've been in the community long enough, you should know. Now, if you disagree with my points or you think I'm overreacting, let me know in the comments down below. And I'm interested to hear your opinion on this topic. Did you learn something new? Or do you just don't care? We've all seen what happens when Gacha developers get praised and the problems get swept under the rug. I just hope Wuthering Waves and Kuro Games doesn't become that way, and really try to improve the game and not make the players suffer to make up the difference. And if you want to see more content like this, please like and subscribe, and click this video if you want to know why Honkai Star Rail is doomed, and maybe Hoyoverse. I guess now it's even more doomed since the video came out a while ago. Well, that's all I got